Okay.
And it's recorded?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Um, do you want to start off by just introducing yourself on the camera?
Sure, I'm John Prendeville. I'm a member of the Wheaton City Council. I'm one of the, I'll just tell you a little bit about that. I'm the, one of the at-large, two at-large representatives. We've got 6 people on the city council and then the mayor. And there's, the city's divided into 4 districts, north, south, east, and west. Then there are 2 people who are elected at-large. We represent the entire city, and I'm one of those 2.
Which district are you in charge of?
The entire, I'm in charge
Oh,
of
the whole
not in
city,
charge,
yeah.
but I represent the entire city.
Okay.
The
okay.
mayor, the other, myself, and the other at-large person represents the entire city.
Okay.
Mhm.
What inspired you to get involved in the Wheaton City Council?
Originally, my wife, Georgia, was involved in something on the north side of Wheaton, the North Side Overlay District, if you've ever heard of that. It's something that encourages developers when they tear down a house and build a new one to do things like put front porches on them, to have garages that aren't attached to the houses. Doesn't say you have to do that, but it gives them incentives to do that. They can build slightly bigger house so they can make more money if they do things like that. And the idea was to make it blend in, make new houses blend into the neighborhood better, and so the character of the neighborhood wasn't changed. So she got involved in that, and I got involved in that too. I started going to some city council meetings, and I'm a lawyer, so that kind of stuff interests me anyway.
Yeah.
So I eventually ran for office and I won.
Mhm.
During your campaign, what helped you get elected? What did you find was the best way to get elected?
Well, I've been elected 3 times. The first time was the one that was the eye-opening experience, that talking to people individually, knocking on doors actually, and introducing myself. And in that election, nobody knew who I was. I hadn't been involved in stuff before that other than coaching teams in the Park District. So I pretty much covered about 80% of the city, knocking on the doors of people who actually vote in elections, because you get a list of that shows who actually votes in the elections. And so go to those people's houses, and some of those people really appreciate that. Some people aren't so happy if somebody knock on their door, but usually it's a pretty good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long does the term last? For
4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
So you've been doing it for 12 years.
Well, I
Or
was first
almost.
elected in 2007. Then in 2011, I ran for mayor and I lost. I ran against the current mayor and I lost, so I was out. But then somebody had taken, I had to give up my spot to do that. Then the person who took my spot was elected to the state legislature.
Yeah.
And so I ran in the special election to get my old seat back, and I got that. Then I ran again and won again this last April. So I've been in for about 6 years.
And
7 years now.
how often do you meet? Like, do you have, or what kind of meetings do you have?
We meet every Monday. Well, the first 4 Mondays of the month. Although this month we're meeting all 5 Mondays, but usually it's the first 4 Mondays of the month. The first and third Mondays we actually transact official business, where we vote on ordinances or approve building plans, things like that. The second and the fourth we have what we call planning sessions, which are a little more informal. We we usually sit around a table. We have an agenda where we talk about things, but we discuss things in depth, and we sometimes have presentations made to us. And by the way, all these things are open to the public. They're also on Channel 10 if you have Comcast, and they're also on the city's website. You can view all of our meetings at your leisure on the website.
Like we went to the community relations committee. We went, and that was one of our other requirements. We sat in there for about an hour or so. Just listen to their kind of agenda, what they did. So, do you think it'd be similar to that? Like, just sitting one of those committees that we would...
The planning session would be like that. And we've got many boards and commissions, and that's one of the important ones, together with planning and zoning is really important. They take a look at developers' plans for proposed developments. There's a couple of them going on right now. And our Environmental Improvement Commission, they do a lot of work with recycling. But we have a lot of committees. I think we have something like 130 people who volunteer to serve on different commissions and boards that we have.
Yeah.
And the committees and the boards and committees, do they draft up things that they want the council to talk about, or?
They sometimes do. They come to us with ideas. They usually, say the Environmental Improvement Commission, they look at ideas for making the city more green. It might be the use of cars that are powered by electricity rather than gas, or hybrid cars. So they'll study something in depth, and they'll come to us and make a presentation, say, City Council, you guys please consider this, and next time you are spending some money to buy something, think about going this way instead of the other way. So they've contributed quite a bit to us.
Okay. So besides voting on different things you pass when you're meeting, what other kind of things that you're responsible for?
Well, our main job is to vote on ordinances, to approve, like I said, real estate development. Sometimes people want to do something that doesn't quite fit into the laws that we have that govern how you can do things. You know, so say they want to build something that's bigger than it's permitted. Then they've got to come, first they go to the planning and zoning board, who has hearings and actually have like a legal stenographer there to take down, swear people in, take testimony and transcribe the hearings. After that, they make a recommendation to the city council, then we take it up. We might agree with them. Usually we agree with them because they do a great job. Sometimes we disagree for policy reasons. So we kind of set the policy for the city. And by the way, one thing I didn't explain, I should, is that in Wheaton we have a city manager form of government where, unlike the city of Chicago, our mayor can't veto things, can't,
Oh, okay.
he doesn't have any voting right greater than any other member of the city council. We're all part-time people. The mayor gets paid $5,000, and the city council members, we get $3,000, which really doesn't cover much for the amount of time we put in. It's really a volunteer position.
Yeah.
But the city manager is the full-time person who is paid a good salary. The current one we have has been in place for 34 years, I think the longest serving in Illinois right now. And he really is in charge of the day-to-day running of the city. He's the fire chief, the police chief, they all report to the city manager. So he runs things day to day. And he also brings things to us, and we make the policy decision. He gives us some options, we make a decision, then he implements them. And it works really well in Wheaton.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
So you're saying that like it's different from Chicago, like they're kind of the way they run their government.
Right.
So like, in your opinion, how would you compare like our local like Wheaton government compared like federally? Like what do you think are the major differences there?
The biggest difference is it's nonpartisan.
Yeah.
We don't run for office based on political parties, which I think makes city government work much, much better.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own personal agendas,
Yeah.
but nobody's voting because a party leader's telling them to vote a certain way. So I think that helps quite a bit.
Yeah.
But the fact that we've got a professional running the city rather than politicians running the city, I think is the biggest positive.
Yeah.
Wheaton's got very good finances.
Yeah.
We've managed to either keep the same or lower our property taxes for the last 6 years, which is
Wow.
pretty unusual.
Yeah.
But we still have a great credit rating. So when we need to borrow money, like we just did a few weeks ago to refinance some debt we have, we can borrow at really low interest rates because our credit rating is so high.
Wow. That's good.
And that's really a testament to the city staff and city
Yeah.
managers, because they're, like I said, they're the day-to-day people who run
Yeah.
the city.
How is like the Wheaton government different from, like I know it's different from Chicago and the reasons you just explained, but compared to like Winfield or like Carroll Stream or Naperville, are there any like major differences?
I don't actually know the forms of government they have there. I think at least one of them has a strong, what they call a strong mayor type of government, where the mayor can veto things, and the other members of the council can try to override their veto if they get enough votes. But I have to be honest, I really haven't paid a whole lot of attention to others. We've got enough to do here. But I think we're really the best. But from what I know and what I understand is that we're really the best run city in the area, based on the lack of problems we have. Everybody's got problems, but we've done a really good job. And when we had the financial crisis 8 years ago, we took immediate action to cut our budget, stop spending on things we could afford not to spend them on.
Yeah.
And so that put us in a really good position going forward. A lot of other cities and towns, villages didn't do what we did, so we're trying to play catch up now.
Do you ever have to work together with other cities on?
Not too often. We do work together with the school district, District
Okay.
100, with the park district. We all, we're all in the same town. The park district and the school district cover more than just Wheaton, but we, share events. We assist each other on a lot of different things. Our police, for example, help out in the high schools. The park district puts on programs everywhere, and we assist them. They assist us. Those are the three main local governments, and we all work together very well.
You said you're a lawyer.
I am.
Do you have to be a lawyer to be a councilman, or like what are like?
No,
what
absolutely not.
background you have to have?
Right now, I think we have, we have 3 lawyers on the council right now. I think it's just people get into law tend to be interested in these things, but absolutely don't have to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And it's very good not to have all lawyers, because lawyers are a certain way, I can admit. And it's good to have different points of view, and people who don't always get caught up in the details of laws, and maybe take a bigger view of things, or different view from it.
Yeah.
different view of things.
What are some positives and some negatives of being a city councilman?
Well, the positive is that you feel like you're really doing something. The reason like I said, it's a volunteer job, and unless you have aspirations to move up in the political world, you're doing it because you enjoy it and because you're making a contribution to the community. And that's what I get out of it. The negative is that you can never please everybody. If there's ever a vote, whenever you take a vote, somebody doesn't agree with you. In a city of 55,000 people, you usually hear from the people who don't agree with you, even though the majority might. So yeah, you have to develop a little bit of a thick skin because people criticize you, and it's rare in Wheaton that sometimes people insult you. And
Yeah.
well, I'll tell you, give you one example. I think it was in the second year I was on the council, so maybe 2009, we had controversy about coyotes here in Wheaton.
Oh, okay.
And some people wanted to just kill all the coyotes. Now, the science tells us that that doesn't work. If you have a problem, if you kill the coyotes, even more would come in because they have territories and their breeding changes if the alpha males kill, things like that. So we were at a planning session, and the council was considering whether to hire a trapper to kill a few coyotes. And I wasn't sure that was a good expenditure of government funds. I didn't think it was a proper thing to do scientifically. So I asked a couple questions. Well, a couple of people in the audience were very upset about it because their dog had been attacked by a coyote. Not killed, but had been attacked. So they started yelling at me from the audience, which, saying Prendeville's stupid. And so the mayor had to stand up and try to quiet them down.
Nice.
Wow.
But, turned into a big controversy. We had our next meeting. We had lots of TV cameras there from all the news channels in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And I can tell you this, it was secret for a while. We actually had bomb threats at City Hall because people on both sides of the issue were very upset. People who were pro-coyotes and people who thought we should be killing all the coyotes were both extremely upset. So an issue like that you wouldn't think would be a big deal. It suddenly became a very big controversy.
Yeah.
But luckily we've never had anybody attacked by a coyote, not only in Wheaton but in the state of Illinois ever. So things have calmed down a little bit.
Yeah.
What other issues have you had, like major?
Major issues?
Yeah.
Usually real estate developments bring out the emotions in people.
Yeah.
Near Wheaton North High School, there are 3 going on right now. One right next to the parking lot.
Yeah.
The people who are in the neighborhood just east of that were not happy about that because they think more high school students are going to be driving down their street on Amy Lane.
Yeah.
So we put up some signs, and it's supposed to prevent that. And the street kind of zigs and zags, so hopefully prevent people from speeding there.
Yeah.
Then there's another development which you can't see from the high school, but it's a little bit, it's north of Sandburg School.
Oh, yeah.
People there didn't want that because they didn't want the street to go through because they felt it would be dangerous for the grammar school students there. And those are the things that people get very upset about. They're concerned. We are too. We're concerned about everybody's safety. We also have to take into account that people who own property have a right to develop it, as long as they're following city guidelines, and that's been the case in both of these instances. But those are areas where people get very upset. When there's something that affects your day-to-day life, you're going to come out and speak about it, which we encourage people to do. One thing we do that's a little bit unique is we have a public comment section of our meetings where people can speak to us about any issue they want to, and people do take advantage of that and bring up a lot of issues. They give us some ideas too, and we actually do listen.
How many people attend your meetings, do you think?
Oh, on average, not a lot. I would say, 15, 20 people come in the audience. But when there's a big issue like this, our room is packed. We might have a couple hundred people there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's more than I thought.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it depends. It depends. A lot of our meetings are not very exciting, but some of them get too exciting.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I really enjoy. I highly recommend it. When you guys are older, get involved in it because you can you really impact day-to-day life with people. Everything from garbage pickup. We hire different contractors. Those big blue cans that we have for recycling now. That was a little bit of a controversy when we put that in place 5-6 years ago. Some people thought they were too big. They wouldn't be good, but we were trying to encourage recycling, and it seems that it's worked out pretty well so far.
I think that's all.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My
Thank you so
pleasure.
much.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
Yeah.
If you
Thank you.
think of anything later, you want to ask me, please.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.